Let's take another look of an example where we're taking the derivative of a function and not doing it at an individual input point, but at all input points. All right, so this time I want to take a look at a constant function. So we've got the function f of x is equal to 3 here. And let's calculate what f prime is at some arbitrary input value x. So once again, it's going to be the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. All right, so what are these two? How do we evaluate those two functions when f of x is equal to 3? Well, it doesn't matter what the input is. Again, obviously, this is the way constant functions work. So this is 3 minus 3, no matter what our input value is, over h, which is equal to the limit as h approaches 0 of 0 over h. And just like we saw when we were calculating this limit for arbitrary values of x instead of for all values, whenever you're dividing 0 by a number that's not equal to 0, the answer is going to be 0. So what this means is that no matter what the input value of the function is, the derivative of a constant function is 0. Okay, this is going to be one of the important rules that we talk about, that the derivative of a constant function is always 0. And let's take a look at the graph and see that that matches the intuition we have of what a derivative is. It's always important to go back to uh, what our concepts are actually telling us about, because sometimes we could get so mired down in thinking about derivatives that we can forget that we're talking about the slopes of functions. All right, so here in GeoGebra, I've got this green line is the function f of x equals 3. And what we can see when we're talking about the derivative of this function, remember we're talking about the slope. We're talking about the instantaneous rate of change. And wherever we are on this line, there's no change in the output value at all, right? The change is 0. And so that is why it would make sense for the derivative of this function wherever it is to be equal to 0. Now, there is nothing special about the constant function f of x is equal to 3. Every constant function is going to have that property. It's just that instead of 3 minus 3, it would be 8 minus 8 or negative 17 minus negative 17, whatever it is. Those two values are going to cancel each other out. So every constant function has got a horizontal line as its graph. And because of that, there's no change at any point along that. And so the derivative of a constant function is always going to be 0 at every point in the domain.